Morning, trainee. Oh, gross. Hang on. Let me fix this. There we go. White balance, exposure, level with the horizon. Given that I am now in the chunk that is the 4th week out from Half Ironman Puerto Rico, hardcore rest week, 2-week really intense build, 1-week taper. So today's nothing special. It's like a 35-minute swim and a 15-minute water run. You won't be impressed by it. What you might be impressed by, however, is I printed out a chart of the average swim times that I've been doing since May last year. And there's stuff that we can look at. Way more impressive than this workout's gonna be. So, unexciting. About a 30-minute swim going 1,500 yards. 14-minute water run. I don't know going how far. I went 0 distance in that water run. But I did, in the swim, get to use the Roca swim skin that I'm going to use in Puerto Rico. So, guess that was fun. Basic rest week stuff. All right. Get home, I'll show you the more exciting progress with some charts of how the swimming's gone over the past year. So all right, Trainiacs, what I've got here is a couple of charts, one of which being the 21-day rolling average pace that I completed swim workouts in. The other one is my SWOLF score, my swim golf score. And the reason that I've done this is because I've had a couple of breakthroughs recently, most notably being that for the first time ever, no floaty pants, no toys, no nothing, I was able to swim 3,000 meters in 50-meter long course pool in under an hour. And that included about 7 minutes of total rest. So I started thinking, I wonder if I can go back and try to get an average swim time for all of my swims basically since I started on the Tower 26 plan. And I can, because coincidentally, that was right along the time that I started using this watch for all of my swims. So let's dive into this. Okay, so what I've got here is the average pace that I have also 21-day rolling averaged going back to June 1st. I was collecting data 21 days before then, so this is the earliest time that we can calculate a 21-day rolling average from. And the reason that I've done a 21-day rolling average is for a few reasons. One, I want to smooth out the variations in things like, was I swimming long course, short course, 25 meter, 25 yards? Was I swimming in a wetsuit? Also, was it a rest week? I was doing this plan based off of 3-week chunks with 2 weeks on, 1 week of rest. So this is to smooth out a little bit of those variations that can happen from workout to workout. What you should know though is that for all of these workouts pretty much, I've got the same types of inputs going in. So number one is it's the same setting. That means it was me by myself. No swim squads, nothing like that, besides maybe a half a dozen at most. It was the same watch, the Garmin 935. And most importantly, it was the same attentiveness to starting and stopping the watch. See, not a lot. Sometimes I stop it, sometimes I don't, but on average, doing this 21-day rolling average, I think, ends up kind of normalizing a little bit of those variations. Let's get into this. So the first thing that you see is that last year there was a really sharp decline in my speed. I was getting quite a bit faster. And the peak of my speed happened on September 2nd, 2018. That was actually the day after Half Ironman Worlds, and it peaked at 141 average pace. Now you might be thinking, well, then you got slower, Taren. Well, here's a couple of things to keep in mind. Up until that point and back, I was in race season with Tower 26, where we are focused on longer efforts. We're focused on holding speed for a long period of time. The swim sets are also longer. So instead of doing 25s and 50s and 100s, which tends to slow down your average pace because there's more rest, we were doing 400s, 200s, 700s, thousands, things like that. So that also brings down the average speed. Whereas from this point onwards until about here, we were in a technical phase. So of course, because I'm doing off season here, and then I'm doing a technical phase here, building technique, working on a lot of drills, working on a lot of kick, working on not speed, but building the proper foundation to potentially get fast in the future, that work is going to end up being slower by nature. But here's the really cool thing that we can pull out from this, is that when the technical phase stopped, I was in LA and Jerry said to me, "You're a totally different swimmer than when you were here last year, back here." And I said, "In a good way?" And he's like, "Yeah, you are now looking like one of the pros that wasn't a swimmer before, but you're becoming a swimmer." And I was like, "But I don't feel any faster and my times aren't any faster." He said, "I don't really know what you're expecting here. We've been in a technique building phase. Talk to me in a little while." Well, look at what happened. Since that time, boom, my times have started plummeting because all of this time spent doing all of that technique work and building the foundation to get fast is starting to show through. Now, where are we at? We are at 140 per 100 on average. And this is at a time when the sets are still fairly chunky. So we're doing 25s, 50s, 100s. There's a little bit more rest included. I also haven't been in a wetsuit, which for me is a huge thing. It's like 5 to 10 seconds per 100 faster. Whereas back in race season, I was in a wetsuit once, if not twice, every single week. So that I don't have working for me right now. And we're not yet really working on speed. We're still just kind of having little bursts of speed and little bursts of 300s and 400s, small little chunks of that without really focusing on that race intensity. So I'm faster now than I was even at my peak speed last year, and we're still not yet really working on it. So hopefully that means that this trend line of getting faster and faster and faster continues to go down. And the next thing that I want to show you is my SWOLF score, my swim golf score. And what that is, it's the time that it takes you to swim a lap plus your stroke count to swim that lap. And ideally, lower is better. And you get lower by having either less time or less strokes. Now, I don't focus on this a lot because I really just kind of want to focus on performance, which is like time and how does it feel at a given effort. But this is an interesting metric to start looking at. And what we can see is that from the date that I started, I've been consistently going down and improving my swim golf score. And from the off season until basically the technique season ended, it was fairly stagnant. And the reason for that is because a lot of that technique work that we do at Tower 26, that we do with Team Trainiac, it's all kind of based off the same thing, is a lot of it is with fins. So this is kind of giving a false impression that I was the most efficient then, whereas the fins were kind of just propping it up. But what you can see is that once we started taking away the fins, doing a lot more straight swimming, even now, I'm still much more efficient or fast than I was at this time last year. So what does this all mean like going forward? Am I gonna absolutely crush the swim in half Ironman Puerto Rico? Well, Petey thinks so, but thing about it is that it's a non-wetsuit swim. It is just gonna be a swim skin. It's also an ocean swim, so there's a little bit of buoyancy. I haven't done a swim skin ocean swim in a long time, so I don't really have any sort of context, but putting it in perspective of half Ironman, comparing it to half Ironman Worlds last year where I swam 28 minutes, I don't think I'm gonna be at 28 minutes because that was a really fast swim. Everyone at half Ironman Worlds was like 4 to 5% faster than they typically were, and I was in a wetsuit there. So if I could, in a non-wetsuit swim that is not overly speedy, do 30 minutes or somewhere in between there and 29, I'm extremely happy. But I'm extremely happy with that graph. That's pretty good. I'm pumped up about it. And hopefully it gives a lot of you trainiacs hope that just by concentrating on the right things, anyone can get faster. Here I was 10 years into swimming, and like, I am never gonna get faster. I've reached what my body's capable of. Well, no, with the right coaching, whether it's Tower 26, whether it's Team Trainiac, just the right structure to your swim plan, everyone can make gains. So that's the data of how I've actually gotten faster. What we're actually going to do over the next couple weeks is we're going to go back to Brenton from Effortless Swimming, and he is going to analyze the footage that he did from me a year ago and footage of me now, so we can start comparing where the progress in these times have been made. You again. So if you want to see the technique changes that I've made to actually make all of these swim gains, make sure you're subscribed. If you aren't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. I haven't said that in a little while. Right, Pete? Right? All right. Later, Trainiacs.